And while the day ends with the inaugural balls, it began with the traditional trip to St. John's Episcopal Church. President Trump and members of his team this morning heard a sermon there by Pastor Robert Jeffress, a very well-known Baptist preacher who was immediately hit by media critics after that, but he's used to some of that along the way. The International Business Times described him as, quote, anti-Muslim and anti-gay. CNN described him as, quote, the inflammatory pastor. He joins us now with his answer to that. Pastor, good to have you with us.
Thanks,
today. Let's start off with what you did this morning and what you talked about, a passage in the Bible that you think describes Donald Trump.
Well, the title of the message was When God Chooses a Leader. And I saw a lot of similarities between Donald Trump and another leader God raised up 2,500 years ago to restore Israel. This leader wasn't a politician or a priest. He was a builder named Nehemiah, and God told him to build a wall around Jerusalem as his first step in restoring the nation. Mr. Trump got a big kick out of that, but it was true. And I went on to talk about, Martha, why God blessed Nehemiah as a leader in restoring the nation. And so what I was trying to do was encourage not only President Trump, but his cabinet and Vice President Pence.
You know, a lot of people find it curious that the evangelical community embraced him. You know, there were plenty of other people in this race, Ted Cruz and others, who might have been a better fit for the evangelical community, but he managed to get the vote of evangelicals in a stronger way than any of them, you know, certainly did in the primaries, and that others have gotten before.
Well, the reason I supported him, and by the way, it was a year ago this weekend, I reminded Mr. Trump today that we were flying around Iowa before the first vote cast, and I said, I believe you're going to be the next president of the United States. And if that happens, it's because God has placed you in this position of leadership. I thought he would win, and the reason I supported him, Martha, is I thought he was the only candidate who had the leadership skills necessary to reverse the downward spiral of the country, but I also thought he was the only one who could win against Hillary Clinton.
So what about the criticism? And there are many people today who listen to the speech who would say that it was exclusionary and who believe that he is anti-Muslim, anti-gay, and that you represent that part of his belief system. What do you say?
Look, it is the left agenda to demonize conservative Christians because conservative Christians are the last speed bump on the road to a liberal society. And so they want to marginalize us and demonize us. If you believe in traditional marriage, you're a homophobe. If you believe men shouldn't go into women's restrooms or showers, you're a bigot. If you believe in the right of the unborn, you must hate women. I think conservative Christians are tired of being demonized. Martha, the church I pastor is not Westboro Baptist Church. It's the oldest evangelical megachurch in America. I mean, the fact that we believe that faith in Christ is the only way to heaven, or that sex should be between a man and a woman in marriage, you may not agree with those beliefs, but they're not radical. They're the beliefs of historic Christianity for 2,000 years.
So how do you heal the country, and how do you heal people who say that the message that they're getting they think is fearful, and that, you know, they're afraid of, you know, what a Trump presidency represents? We saw all kinds of, you know, Hitlerite references in the press today in some of the coverage.
Look, I've known Donald Trump now for 2 years. He's been a friend of mine. I think people are going to be surprised at how inclusionary he is. Look, I'm a conservative Christian. I'm not under the illusion that President Trump agrees with me on every issue, but he does believe conservative Christians and all Americans should have the right to be heard and not demonized, really like the last administration has done for 8 years.
So will you continue to counsel him as he goes through his presidency?
You know, it's very interesting. He has asked for this Faith Advisory Council, of which I'm a member, to continue. I was with him 2 weeks ago at Trump Tower, and I can tell conservative Christians and all conservatives he's moving forward in the campaign promises he's made of a conservative judiciary, of the repeal of the Johnson Amendment, of the protection of the religious rights, not just of Christians, but of all Americans.
Pastor Jeffress, thank you very much.